cause how I suspect my mother like was it or whatnot. Like because when come to find out, like, cause the bit moved fast, bro. The bit moved fast. I peeped a lot of shit. I just wanted to study his rhythm. That bit was bad, bro. Like she peeked around corners at night. That was one on. Like she was bad, bro. She peeked around a lot of corners. Like she kept replaying the same event over and over. Ain't nobody gonna do that. Replay the same event over and over and continue to do it. One night I peeped the game. You know, the bitch broke a hole in the floor. You know, to where it can escape when it snatches my ass up. It was trying to make an escape route. It was making its own escape route. It made its own sequence. Like it was synchronizing itself. Like the night, like it even positioned itself back up into its position to what it was gonna eat it. Like I know what a bitch was gonna plot and eat my ass at. Like it knew what direction I was. It just didn't know what street I was on. It didn't know if I was sitting still out there or whatnot. So the bitch fanned out and searched every street to kind of really cut in from. When I was getting off work, I peeped the game good. I couldn't see from a distance, you know, from one point of view after me studying, I seen a bit from a long, long distance. She was standing from the far end, coming on the inside. Try to find the street to kind of really cut in from and kind of do a transformation. You know, it kind of it broke a lot of things to life. It found this position, it found this thing, like it was about to do a sequence, but it didn't know when and how. It was about to pull off its sequence one night. Like its sequence was to kind of deform itself and experience, like even tell me like it was close the whole time. Like I knew where it was, who, like how to break it down. I knew what type of creature it was, but I didn't know which person it was. How I know it's really her. She started a lot of arguments. She was the reason the argument started. She caused a lot of arguments out there. Like, say like if you're right or whatnot, you try to check her behind something, like she'll she'll turn it back on you with the closest neighbor. That's if it was a possibility. Like you couldn't really tell like the difference was coming in or whatnot of the arguments. I knew I had a dead twin brother. She didn't know that. I kept it into an order, into his own order. She wanted to know everything first about me. She wanted to get to know me, get me comfortable. She tried to get me even comfortable with the mother thing, but I caught her peeking around the corner. I kept trying to add more and more events. Like the events was the party night she loved. She loved a lot of party nights. Caused a lot of party nights on her. It was funny. It was funny. I never did tell it the true nature that I've seen one night. When I went to the backyard, took a picture, I noticed something. It had an escape route, built-in escape route. The bitch was cold. What was she? That whole night in the house, laying comfortable. guard was down. Probably, you know, the most amazing part, you know, it hurt my heart to kind of really just say it, like, when she walked in the backyard, because there was a bunch of trees back there. You couldn't tell that beyond the bushes, you can see her. Beyond the bushes, you seen it true form with my mother's head right there up in his hand. I was so angry. That was my mother the whole way. I could never get over it. How he threatened, he tortured me the whole way about her. How he knew how much I cared about her. How he took all that from me. He took all that from me, and I had to be up in his care the whole way there. He was so angry at me for finding his location. He took everything from me. He even posed in a picture the whole way with me. He was gonna snap one night because I caught him walking in the backyard. Still, cause what I'm trying to say, when it was walking in the backyard, it had a struggling time. It had a struggling time. She walked fast than a motherfucker to hit that corner. She walked fast than a motherfucker to go back around that corner. Why? Because she was on the roof one night while you were laying down. She was on the roof. That was her on top of the roof, listening to everything you was doing. You can help but get it off your chest. Nobody else is back there. She scared everybody off. They got comfortable playing all that loud music. You know, they still didn't know she was the imposter the whole way there. Because they took it as a normal day. They didn't know that. I'm peeping the scene at the spot that I caught her walking from the back. She noticed on the second try, she tried to plot really come charging at me through one of her gapping holes real fast. She broke a hole in the floor for that shit. Because I kept catching what it really was, like how the stories was coming in, how all the cards kept coming to play, how everything kept coming to play, and everything else. Everything kept coming to play, like all the events that it was always there. All the events was just coming to play. Me going out, washing clothes, me sitting there at the house by myself with her. Everybody else is gone, nobody else is there. That when the threat came in again, how she had to wash my ass again because I was all by myself with her in her own care. Like, she was an imposter. The boy took off running by himself or whatnot, wandering in the middle of the night by himself or whatnot. She left his ass walking and told him to walk to his grandma's house by himself. She had already thought about putting him out because he wasn't no use to her. He wasn't no true blood relation to me. You know, since he was no blood relation to me, she had a lot of bad events caused on him. Because he was no blood relation, there was no reason for the second death to come in. You know how fakes a death that has to switch to another body. He has to find another body, but he has to be a blood related person to get to the next person. He was trying to get to me, but the boy wasn't no blood relation, like, just really doing this shit. If she watched me that hard, can you imagine how she watched the boy? Can you imagine how stupid he didn't know she watched his ass the whole time? I'm leaving. She couldn't get that far running. He's in the house by himself with her. If he tries to go back or whatnot while I'm gone, she's in the house. So if he tries to run back and think like he's up in the clear or whatnot, he's in more shit than anything else around there. Anything. Instead of studying him, he's no blood to me because it knows like I'm more not vulnerable than what a person expect when family is so close. I'm around family. Why would I be weak? I'm not weak. I'm not at my vulnerable. I'm not vulnerable or nothing. That was my second strike with her. She pushed all of them away. She made sure everything was separated. She caused a lot of bad events for the start, just to separate everybody and never cause a lot of arguments. It tried to find a nice position to try to transform up in the living room to where it can finally snap or whatnot. It tried to transform in mid sight. Like it tried to check and see who all was coming up, popping up and everything. She was instead of trying to walk around the corner to try to see like if somebody was coming there at the exact time frame. She was checking to see. While she was doing this, she was checking the surroundings. She was going out to see like what direction you was coming from. When I switched directions at one point, she got confused. She had to double check again. That's why she kept walking to the store to get all these frees. The vulnerability kept coming in when you was leaving at night from the store. That's why they wanted me to leave and from her side because the vulnerability kept coming in overnight. I never could say it loud because she was closer than we thought or whatnot, behind some house or behind a corner or something. She was closer than you think. If you can imagine the hours of you having to work all that day until you got home, can you imagine how close she was to transforming and snapping in your face? But she was gonna stand in the middle of the street with her back turned. She was gonna be in the middle of the red light with her back turned, and she was gonna snap in mid conversation. It was gonna snap in mid conversation because she was gonna be sitting there stopping you from going to the house. If you was to turn around and run or whatnot, it was gonna cut the other way and try to chase your ass down the street again like a big giant spider. Swear for God. She was gonna chase your ass down the motherfucking street, I swear for God. And snap and act like everything is all normal. And cause another commotion because you didn't see what it really was. It's gonna keep doing it to the point that you don't realize it's trying to cut you off your direction on when you leaving from work. But it won't expose itself in front of the crowd of people that it can cause a commotion at. That's the whole commotion thing about it. It tried to kill you so many times while you wasn't looking, when you walking home at night, when you're doing everything you could not to study it's trying to get you so confused to the point that it wants to lure you back to her. She wants me to come back. I'm not going back. Ever. The reason why I'm saying, because you have to bury that body. You have to get rid of its problems. Like, if you, like, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna eat my mama ashes. I don't give a fuck. Her and my daddy. Give a fuck. Smoke that shit like how I have some. But I'm not finna throw away my mother's ass, and I'd be hurt. I was thinking about flushing that shit down the toilet. God would have whooped my ass, bro. That's what I'm gonna do. Cause I have to get rid of the body anyway. Because if I bury the body or whatnot, it's gonna use that against me in the long run. He's gonna use her against me. All the people that I done buried or whatnot, if I bury them or whatnot, he's gonna use that against me. Like my mother and my father, he gonna use all that shit against me. But he ain't gonna know how to really come with it if the body's not there for him to kind of reproduce from. He doesn't know this because it doesn't use the internet for that. He probably track my phone or whatnot, but he doesn't use the internet for YouTube because it'll give off his location like all the other things. No matter what the cost is, I can't lose the body. I don't care nothing about what it wants. I just can't lose the body.